Plants give the water biologically. We worry about that in the summer. Come end of April, you like to have some plants start to do some work in there, but right now, like, don't jump the gun. You want to clean your pond, but protect your plants or be smart about it and don't throw them away. The hardies on the other end may still have greenery all year. They're super easy to tell if they're alive or not because they have a rhizome, and you can see that rhizome coming out of the, it's almost like an ugly potato coming out of the dirt. And you'll see this, and if you see this, that plant's perfectly fine, whether there's greenery or not. So we don't worry too much about getting in, breaking these guys up, repotting them. You can do it in the middle of winter if you want, because you're just gonna look and say, oh, I don't want all that. So you snap it, you throw this away, or you try to plant another one, and you repot this in fresh dirt. And it can happen any time of the year, it doesn't matter. So hardies, in most club environments, are everybody's favorites, because you almost can't kill them. And they're super easy to play with, and so you have a love for having a green thumb. You want to play some gardening games in your pond, around your pond, and these allow you to do that. So hardies are oftentimes preferred and easier to deal with. Now, this, Miguel wasn't overly thrilled with me, but I stole the tropical. This is a tropical. It literally has a potato, okay? You can eat this if you're in Asia and different parts of Malaysia. That's what they do. They are water potatoes. You will just see dirt right now. If you reach your hand into that mud, and this is the recommendation that I've given most people over time, if you reach around and you feel a rock down there, leave it alone. It's fine. It's dormant. If you don't feel a rock and all you feel is mush, the plant froze, the plant died, and immediately decomposed back into mush, and this rock is no longer in existence. Super hard. It's got a solid heart in it. It's just like a hard rhizome concept, okay? And so if you feel that, you leave it alone. Now, if you want to repot it, you can still do that, but you gotta be careful. Reach into the mud, carefully pull this bad boy out, do your repotting stuff, and stick them back in. The other thing I'll tell you, if you're gonna play with tropicals early, or if you want to repot them really at all, but other than in the summertime, since they like warm water, direct sunlight, if you're willing to play the game, when you repot them, move them into the shallows, or move that pot into the sun part of your pond. Even if you don't want to repot it, but you want to get it to come up faster, move it into 6 or 8 inches of water above the pot. It's going to warm up a lot faster than 2 or 3 or 4 foot deep. You know, we have a 5 foot deep pond over there. And no joke, one winter, I don't know what year it was May before those plants, maybe end of May, before those plants started coming up, because it was still cold at 5 foot deep, you know, and it was in the sun, and it didn't matter. You know, fish are going nuts for 2 months, every other plant's doing great, and I can't get these monster tropicals. Like, they're dead, I guess. And then all of a sudden they're alive and they're beautiful, but it just takes a long time to get the sunlight and the heat through the water, okay? I personally, this is just me, and every pond is different, and your time frame is different, is unique, but I don't mess with plants until we get into April, period. All right? Your pond right now is warming up. You're starting to get some different things happening in there. You may see your fish getting more active. You're probably feeding your fish by now. You might do a water test, because if you're anywhere near 60 degrees, they need to be eating, because they haven't eaten much for months. I started feeding mine probably about a month ago, 3 weeks ago. And my water at home is at 62 degrees. But anyways, you don't need to mess with the environment in March. The environment is a little fickle because it's changing so drastically from the cold to the winter, okay? But come April, May, you got warmer water, you got more things happening, you need more things to start working in your pond. I generally say get in May, okay? A lot of people like to clean their ponds in February, March. That's great if you want to do that. But if you just want to play with my plants, you're a little early. Because we still could get a freeze. We're still going to hit 38 degrees on Tuesday night, Wednesday night. All right, we're going down again. Like last freeze in San Antonio is April 5th, historically. You got to be really careful. You go in there and you make a bunch of things happen to your plants, and you hurt them a little bit, and then a big cold drop hits. They're tender enough that they could die where they wouldn't have died if you'd have just left them alone. Okay. So in that regard, this is a good thing to talk about right now. To hardies. I generally only break the rhizomes up if there's roots coming down and a piece of greenery coming up. All right, this will grow a plant 50% of the time, but there's no greenery, so it could be that it won't. All right, so oh, I see stuff coming up. Never mind, we're good. 1, 2, 3, 4. I can break this 4 times. What?
Get your readers on.
I know, I need them actually. I just won't buy them. But so another reason to kind of wait is you can break them up all you want, but you might miss the opportunity to have new plants. You may not want new plants. A lot of us have water gardens, and the gardening is cleaning out the excessive plants every year. And so snap them whenever you want. But if you have a young pond, especially, or you buy 3 or 4 plants, and there's one that you really like, oh, I can propagate that plant. There again, be patient, because you'll see greenery coming up here, greenery coming up here, greenery coming up here, over here, and every one of those can be snapped into a new plant, put into a new pot, and multiply your plants out, okay? This is the way water garden gyms and your higher quality retail establishments get plants from the farm. Every year I would buy 2,000 or 3,000 plants, sometimes 5,000 plants from the farm, put them in pots, and grow them and then sell them to you. Most places that aren't water garden specialists, this is what you get. So it's not like this won't grow a plant, all right? This is what you get. So you can use that. Okay, questions coming out of winter? Yeah, Keith.
What should you do to help your tropicals? If you were really ambitious, would you put them in a smaller pond? You have to put them in a greenhouse?
This time of the year?
No, through the winter. What should we have done?
Through the winter? So there's 2 thoughts. One is old school, which I kind of believe in, is everything has a cycle. And your plants need a dormant cycle, okay? And so if you let them get cold, they actually get a break from life, so they have more oomph going forward. Their root systems continue to grow, but the top of the plant doesn't. So if you allow that root system to rejuvenate a little bit in a dormant state, you're gonna have a better season next year with the plant. But you could move them in the greenhouse. You could keep them green, blooming all winter long, and kick them out as soon as you can, and then they look prettier in the spring, but they're gonna suffer in the summer.
I'm thinking more just to keep them alive. Because you say you have a...
To make the winter?
Yeah, they survive the winter.
Okay, then you want to put
them
them...
in a shallower water?
No, you should put them in the deepest water.
So it stays warmer.
So it stays warmer. And then, so water circulation is everything. If there's no water circulation in a pond, the top of the pond is going to be cold in the winter and hot in the summer. And the bottom of the pond is going to be thermally insulated by the ground. So it's going to be the reverse. So your warmest water will be at the very bottom of the deepest part of your pond. But if you have a bottom drain, you're sucking all that cold air to the bottom, into the bottom drain. If you have air stones, you're blowing the warm air up and giving recirculation, and then your whole degree of your pond is only about 2 degree variance, so who cares?
Yeah.
So during the winter for me, one year I wanted to keep my fish eating all year and grow them fast, so I turned all my air system off, and all I had was a waterfall coming in and my skimmer going out. So all the water movement stayed at this top 2 feet of the stratus, top 2 foot stratus, and my bottom 4 or 5 foot didn't move. And my fish ate year round, and they were active, and they loved it, but they stayed low. They stayed in the warmth until I fed them, and then they came up and they'd eat, and they'd go back down. So you do the same thing with your plants, but you have to make sure that circulation, and yours you're not gonna have a problem because you've got such a monster pond. But you gotta stop the circulation or you're defeating the purpose.
That's a good point.
Yeah. And if you put them in sunny, obviously sunny's better, but for the majority of the winter, I mean, we're still, if you never get above 60 and you get into the 30s or 40s every morning or every night, your water's not warm enough even in the sun. Enough to make a difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
I got a question for you. I just cleaned out my pond, not cleaned it out, but I had a Colorado that was a pot like that, and it's on my step where I sit in my pond, because my pond is sit back and sit in it. So. But when I was cleaning out the maidenhair fern, I knocked off the leaves.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can that hardy lily, I cut the bottom off the pot so it's down a little bit below the water line, because it was right at the water line. And so I need to know what I need to do to get that thing to come back, because it's missing its leaves now.
He's gonna come back. Now, if we'd have done that in the heat of the summer,
Right.
that could have been a bad situation. But he's gonna be fine now. Yeah, if you want to fertilize those roots and make sure they've got plenty of jump start, that'd be good. And your normal aquatic fertilizer has a high first number, which is your growth number.
It's just a tad.
Yeah, it's your the ones you got like here. Yeah. Stick one of those in there, not too close to your rhizome root.
And that's not gonna make a difference if I cut that bottom off.
It's not gonna make a difference.
Okay.
No, you're fine.
That's what I needed to know. Keep
You're-
it up high.
Doesn't matter. And out of high, you're probably gonna see faster results, because you're gonna get more direct sunlight and warmer water consistently right now. Yeah, you're better off.
The rest of the ponds, you get that deep.
Right. If you stick it down there, it could die, because you're gonna drop it into cold water, it's gonna lose its sunlight and all those kind of things.
Shane, I had a new to the pond world person ask me, I don't know, I inherited this pond and there's like this monster growing out of it and the pot broke and it was just this huge, monster in there. And I said, that's good, but what would you recommend to a new one to ponds when
They
see
have a
those?
big one like that.
Oh yeah, it's a hardy, but,
Yeah.
it's just-
And then water decreased.
they didn't know what to do.
Oh, well,
I said, when do you need a new pond?
yeah, well, it depends. So my father-in-law's in the same situation. He put Clyde Ikens in a pond 15 years ago, and he's not touched them. So half of the pond's about not quite the size of this room. Half of the pond is technically one Clyde Iken. Although it's not, there's 100 plants in there, and it's gotten to where, of course, the pot broke a long time ago, so really it's a free fall. It's just a free floating, and if you stick your hands underneath there, just the green gush just comes out, but it's all suspended. But the water's crystal clear, the fish go under and hide, he never has any predator issues, he never has anything but 100% clarity because, you gotta leave it. She's got a great situation now. She wants to clean it out that she can, but then her pond's gonna turn green, and her fish are gonna be out in the open, and they're gonna act weird, and they're gonna act skittish. And so there's gonna be a bunch of things happen if she messes with it, because it's not just the shape. I mean, if you can imagine the amount of hair roots that are in there feeding on nutrients, you take that away, a lot of bad things are gonna happen. But that's what she may wanna do, but there will be consequences. Even if she goes in and pots it up and pots 50 plants and puts the pots around, she still damages the ecosystem for the season. So she's still gonna end up with a kind of an uglier looking pond for a season. She needs to break it up and bring the plant swap, and everybody gets it. And she's everybody's best friend.
That's what I do with the Hitikium ginger, the white butterfly ginger.
Sure.
I've had mine in the same pot for more than 15 years, and I don't even see the pot. It's like expanded like 4 feet in diameter. And so last night I went ahead and broke some of them off because I was going to bring some over for some of the new members that I have in my car. But yeah, all the roots have gone everywhere, and that's a great place for all the fish to go hide in and set to the raccoons.
Yeah.
Shane, I always get this confused. The rhizome for the tropical goes where, and one goes in the center, and one goes against the side. Always get them mixed up.
So the hardy goes against the side. And the reason is the rhizome grows sideways.
Hardy goes.
And it grows shallow. It sits like this. All right? So the only thing that goes deep are the little feather roots, but the actual bone, the rhizome, wants to go horizontal. So you want to give it as much growth space as you can. All right? Whereas your tropical is a ball and all the roots come straight down, so you want to give the hair roots the most amount of space, you stick it in the middle. At the end of the day, it's dirt and water, they're both going to survive. But the proper way to plant is to put the hardy on the edge of the pot. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Put it just like that.